Gigi.
And I'm Victoria.
And I'm Mika.
And this is
A Word at the Table.
I'm sorry. Did you want to do anthems?
Nah. All right. Well, welcome back to A Word at the Table. Today we want to discuss a topic that was brought up in our suggestion box that we had in our podcast launch party.
Thanks for everybody that came.
Yeah. Thank you to
awesome.
all of you who came and who are still listening.
Yes. All two of you.
So this suggestion was to discuss godly friendships. So today, I just want to talk about friendships in general. And when I saw like friendship, immediately I thought about David and Jonathan.
Who are those people?
David.
King
David? King David.
Okay. Who is Jonathan?
Victoria, please tell me you know.
Who is David?
David and Jonathan. So I'm just going to read from 1 Samuel 18, verse 1 through 5. And in these 5 verses, it just introduces their friendship and how they got acquainted with each other. So I'm going to read from the NIV version. 1 Samuel 18, verse 1 through 5. After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. From that day, Saul kept David with him and did not let him return to his family. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic, and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. Whatever mission Saul sent him on, David was successful that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. This pleased all the troops and Saul's officers as well. Okay, that's it. So from those 5 verses, I just want to break it down a little bit just to see how their relationship, how they became friends. Mm-hmm. Just from the beginning, it says David just was speaking with Saul. This is right after David killed Goliath. Okay. He went to Saul and gave Saul the head of Goliath. And Saul asked him, "Whose son are you?" And he said, he's the son of Jesse. And it's in that conversation after David did this and was speaking with Saul, Jonathan fell in love. Not in love.
I know, yeah.
He just became so fond of David, and they became friends from that. The
romance was
moment.
Born. Yeah.
So, from my first point that I want to bring up is the natural connection of David and Jonathan, and the importance of having a natural connection when you have a friend. So I want to ask you guys a question. How do you define friendship?
I think we discussed what we wanted in a friendship in one of our episodes.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
We discussed that we wanted support and honesty. But I would define friendship as a solid relationship that that they're just going to be there for you. They're going to be there for you through the good and the bad. There's no, this friendship isn't contingent on something else. It's not contingent on if, I don't know, if you balling or whatever. It's not contingent on certain things.
A lot of friendships are contingent on stuff.
But is that a friendship?
No, but there are very few relationships where it's unconditional.
Yes.
But that's what I would define a friendship as. I define a friendship as something that is unconditional. I'm not gonna stop loving you or Mika because I don't know.
You're
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But that's what I think a friendship is. It's someone that's always going to be there for you and support you.
Yeah, and I think friends just are. It's rare to come by friends just in life.
That's true.
I think there's a saying that says if someone has like 5 close friends throughout their lives, that you should consider yourself blessed. Something like that. And it's like when you think about friendship, it's like someone who, like you said, is there for you no matter what. Somebody who doesn't judge you. Someone who knows like the good, the bad, and the ugly about you, and is still like they still love you, and they still call themselves your friend. And also in that, like from David and Jonathan's friendship, like you can see that from their relationship, friends. Like Jonathan loved David unselfishly. Like he took the robe off his back. Yeah. He took his sword. He took his bow and arrow and gave that to David, and that caused David to be successful as a warrior. So like Jonathan loved David unselfishly, and like he had his back, and he propelled David to his success. So it's important, like in our friendships, to have people that, like, to have someone that encourages you and that breaks you down. Yeah, and like, what is that? How do you balance, like, in a friendship? How do you balance encouraging someone and like giving criticism when they're not doing the right thing?
I feel like as a friend, you should understand your place. Like with criticism, I'm not just gonna come up to you out of nowhere and be like, you know, you've always had this smell about you. Like,
damn.
Like, yeah, you know, like no one asked you about that. Like maybe I like smelling this way or whatever, right? But like I feel like criticism should come from a place of like
love.
Yes, like this is how you could be better as like whatever. Like if I see that you're not like the best mom, like you yell at your kids all the time, I'm gonna be like, hey, why don't you try this, that, and a third or whatever, right? Because I just want you to be the best mom you can be or whatever, right? Not I just want to criticize you just because it's Wednesday. Like this has nothing to do with anything, you know. Like I never like the way that you do your makeup. You out here looking crazy all the time, like, you know, like that. That's not. You know, you're just making somebody feel bad just to make them feel bad, you know? Like, but like criticism should come from, I want you to be better, like as a person, you know?
Yeah, there's did you want to say something, Gigi?
Oh no, I agree. I think it's just that there's people that just in general are negative. About
they just nitpick everything, you know.
And that's so unhealthy to have around you, because then you'll be thinking, double guessing yourself every time. So it's really important not to have those negative, those naysayers in your life.
What are they, negative Nancy's? Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a couple of proverbs that I want to share with you guys. The first one is Proverbs 12, verse 26.
Say amen when you got it.
Amen. It says, the righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. So this talks about like choice in friendships. It's not to, I don't think it's to say, oh, like so-and-so, you're not good enough to be my friend. But it's like you have to use some wisdom in like who you get close to.
That
like
is so
who
important.
You keep in your inner circle.
Yes.
Who do you go to advice for? Like, because you have to be very careful with that.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you for some advice, right? I have a friend, and hopefully that friend is not listening to this. But whatever, you know, it's going to happen. Okay, I have a friend who I love with all of my heart or whatever, right? But he like, I don't know how to say it, but it's like, he's kind of like drowning, like in his own whatever. Everything is always a thing or whatever, right? He's always drowning. And like, I try to help him out, but whenever I help him out, I like end up like mixed in his mess too. And it's to the point whenever I step away from this person, I feel like, oh, I can breathe, you know? Like, so I just feel like there's certain people, like I even saw a meme of it one time where it was just like they're drowning and then they'll like mess up your, they'll pull you down with them. So like, how do I step away, but like love from a distance? Like, I don't I don't know what to do in this scenario, but every time he takes up my entire day, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like he takes my entire day and like, it's just like things with his family, things with his job, things with him as a person. And it's just like, oh my God.
Well, I feel like if you do what you're supposed to do as a friend and give them advice and, support them, and they still are upset and still complaining, and now it's to the point that you just like to be in that state. Like, it's not even like you're trying to take my advice or trying to make a change. So I feel like if you see someone that still doesn't even make an effort to, I pull back, because now it's just like, you know how a leech like kind of just stays on you. Like, you don't even know it's sucking blood from you.
Right.
It's the same thing. Like, you don't even notice they're taking energy from you until like you said, like when he wasn't around, you felt like you can breathe again.
Yeah.
It's literally like that.
I think it's in that instance, like I would have a conversation with this person and tell them, like, listen, I love you. I want to help you, but every time I do help you, I feel like you take advantage of that. You take advantage of my goodness. I would just say that because there's also the other proverb that I was gonna share is, it's not it, but it's like iron sharpens iron. Like Proverbs 27 verse 17, like. It says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Like, if in your friendships, in your relationships, like, it's a two-way street. It's not that you're looking for something to gain from every person who you encounter, but if you're always taking from me and never, and depleting me of my joy and my energy, and it limits you in how you can serve others and just be yourself in general, like, I think it's a conversation to have. Like, maybe that person's not even aware that.
No, we've had this conversation.
Okay.
Oh, I need support. You're supposed to be there to support me.
Okay.
This is just a really hard time for me right now.
But is that person there for you? If
No,
you're in, okay.
never.
So
Never.
I think then that tells you, like, this is not really. That's your friend, but he's not a good friend to you.
No.
You're a good friend, but they're not a good friend to you. So I would like limit that relationship and watch how it develops. There is another proverb about friendship. It's Proverbs 17 verse 17. It says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." So this verse to me, well, what do you guys think it means? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I guess during your hard times, you get to see who your real family is.
Like,
Exactly.
You kind of evolve from friendship to like blood.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And like that like really struck me, because it's like that loyalty that you get from some friends and you don't get from others. And I think that's what defines like friendship, or differentiate friendship from like close friends or like the inner circle kind of thing. It's like, it's not everybody. Like you could need help and you call that one friend and he doesn't answer, and you're like, but I would do that for you. Like, obviously that person is not a person that's in your inner circle. Like, he's somewhere in your life and he exists and you care for him as a human being, but it's not a person that you keep in close contact. The other verse that I wanted to share is from Corinthians. It's 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33 and 34. And it says, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Come back to your senses as you ought, and stop sinning, for there are some who are ignorant of God. I say this to your shame." So, yeah, it says it pretty well. Like, bad company corrupts good character. So if you surround yourself with people who are ratchet, be ratchet. Like, if that's not what you want to be, like, that's not what you should be around.
Kendrick Lamar has a song like that. I forgot. I think that's on his Good Kid, Mad City album. I forgot what song it is, but he's like, I'm always a good guy until I'm with the homies. Like, it's like when he surrounds himself around like the people from his hood and like small-minded people, he starts to act like them, and he's like, "Yo, I'm not like this." And I think you just get sucked into it.
They always say that shouldn't be the smartest person in your crew. You shouldn't be the most successful person in your crew. Like, you should always be amongst people like, oh, I'm trying to be like them.
Yeah.
You know, you should always be that like, you know, not the weakest link, because like, no, but like you should want to be like amongst Beyonce's and like Barack Obama's, and you should be like, I need to be on their level, you know? Yeah, but when you're like, if you're like the smartest person in your crew, then you kind of like dumb yourself down to their level, you know? Yeah.
And it's the same like with like godly friendships, I guess, to go back to the suggestion that the person had. It's as a Christian, it's not that we don't have friends who aren't Christians. No, that's not it at all. But
you're not surrounding yourself. Yeah,
you're not surrounding, like, you should have Christian friends. Yeah. Like, you should have friends who are also Christian, not just friends who are in the world and who don't get, like, your Christian walk. Because, of course, like, God is in you, but it's hard if you're not fellowshipping with like-minded people. You can backslide to like your own flesh, into your own ways, into other people's ways, like, very easily.
That's with almost anything you do.
Yeah.
Like, if
diet.
if you become vegan, all of a sudden these vegan friends pop out of nowhere. You're like, where did you get all these vegan friends from? If you are like one of those gym rats, all of a sudden you got gym rat friends. It's like that lifestyle. It doesn't mean like you cut off all your other friends. It's just that these are the people that are like-minded with me. They're helping me with my journey and stuff like that. So, you know, this is the person I want to become.
Yeah, and I feel like the group chat that I have at my church, like, we're so supportive of one another. Like, if we are just saying, like, hey, you know, I'm going through this, please pray for me, everyone's like, I got you, I'm praying for you now. Like, it's just a platform where we just support one another, and I feel like it means everything. Like, we didn't have that. I kind of feel like you feel like you're not a part of a community, or you just feel like you're on your own, or you think you're the only one going through whatever the situation is. So when you have people like that around you, that's also building a relationship with God. It's kind of like it'll help you in your circumstance or whatever issue you may have. And I also think with godly relationships, I'm not going to say all, but most of the time, I feel like the friendship is like bigger than you. Like, it's bigger than us just being friends. Like, for instance, like the three of us, like we have a prayer line, we have a podcast. Like, I feel like usually the purpose of the godly friendship is bigger than just that friendship.
The two people in it, or the three, or whatever.
It'll affect other people in some way. I'm not saying that's all, but most of the time I feel like there's like a bigger picture to it. Like, God actually put this friendship together to make a difference.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like, I think when you're in a friendship or in a group or fellowshipping or whatever, each person is different from another. I think also it's good to approach friendships with compassion. The verse in Ephesians, it says 4 verse 32, it says, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." So, like, in friendships, like, you can almost always expect that people will disappoint you, because we're people. Like, that's what we do. Like, there's no perfection. It's like, but know that when those offenses happen, that you will be ready to forgive. And if you offend the other person, like, know that because they are your friend, they'll be ready to forgive you too. I think that's very important. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is, like, when you're a part of a group, sometimes, like, whether it's, you know, just two people being friends, or in a larger group setting, like a group of friends, sometimes it could, like, one person or people could tend to try to outshine one another, especially I think in girlfriends. Like, it could get very competitive.
With girls, it's like more passive.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's very passive.
But it's still like it still happens. There is a verse again. There's verses for everything. In 1 Corinthians 15 again, verse 41, it says, "The sun has one kind of splendor, the moon another, the stars another, and stars differs from star." A star differs from another star in splendor. So it's like the moon shines in its own way, the stars shine in their own way, the sun shines in its own way. And there are stars stars exist next to each other in the same realm. The moon and the stars are in the night sky, but they shine differently, and they all are magnificent in their own way. And I think knowing yourself, when you know yourself, also you attract the right people to you.
I think you can't really necessarily determine everything that you attract, but I feel like you have the right to, like you were saying, how you know yourself, when, okay, I need to get rid of this friendship. When you know yourself enough, you know that this is not good for me, but you know how to stay away. Like God gives you that
discernment,
right?
Yeah.
And I was actually going to say the story about Jonathan and David, which I'm not sure. I was trying to look it up, but wasn't Jonathan at first? Because you're talking about competition, didn't he at first before the whole David and Goliath? Didn't he not like David, or there was a situation where he questioned David, and then obviously they became friends.
I've never heard Jonathan.
I think Jonathan was actually Saul's son.
Yeah, so that's I think where the jealousy
and he
began.
was one of the leading warriors.
Right.
So when the Philistines were taunting the Israelite army, and when Goliath was, Goliath said, bring out your strongest man against me. And that they wouldn't even bother fighting, going to war with each other. So it would be one man from the Israelites and against Goliath. Every big warrior, Jonathan, Mr. Big Warrior, head of the army, didn't step up to that. Now this little boy came and said, "Oh, I got it." And, everyone looked at him like, "You're foolish." And when he came back with the, having killed Goliath and cut off his head, and presented it to Saul, that's when in that conversation, after that conversation, that's when Jonathan became fond of David, and they said that, and later on in chapter 17 it says that Jonathan made a covenant with David. He made a covenant, he's his friend forever, through thick and thin. And I think that's so deep. It's deeper than a romantic relationship.
You are so right, because no, think about it. A friendship is such an unselfish relationship, because when I love you you are my husband, you're my wife, I love you, or whatever, right? So that's what I get from me loving you. I have a man, I have a woman, and stuff like that. But or same thing with a child, you're my child, or whatever. But when you're my friend, I love you because you're my friend.
Yeah.
It's not we're not introducing sex into the relationship. We're not introducing kinship to the relationship and stuff like that. It's just, I love you because you're my neighbor. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Because you ever seen those people who don't have any friends, they just have their partner?
Yes.
And it's those are the type of people who can't have friends. Yeah. They're why do I have to put up with your stuff if you're not my man? Why?
Right. Yeah, it's really it's really deep to think about that. Also in the New Testament, Jesus says there's no greater love than this, for one to lay down his life for his friends. So that's another deep, Jesus saw us as his friends. He laid down his life for his friends. That's the deepness of friendship.
Yeah. And I think going back to Jonathan, if you think about it, I'm Saul's son, I would think that I'm the one that's supposed to inherit being the chosen one. So I could see where you would probably feel like a little salty towards David, because you would look at him like, where are you coming from? You're like this little person out of nowhere, right? Tending sheep. Or so.
Yeah, he was a shepherd.
So it makes sense in that, and I think, like you said, like after, I guess maybe he was like admiring David and his strength and everything. So maybe that's where the friendship sparked.
It's be a bomb play.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't find the line, but there was something that Jonathan said to him that showed that he was like, "Who are you?" Like, I don't remember what it was, but it makes sense as to why he looked at him funny, because he probably thought that he was going to be the next chosen one. So
I mean, and he was like, David like ruled over the Israelites army, and took them to victory, and in that, Jonathan he wasn't jealous of that. Like he was still a force behind that, because again, like he gave David his own armor, his own robe. Like he honored him in that way. Like, I'm unselfishly giving you my stuff so that you can be successful.
I like that,
Yeah, that's the brotherly love you're talking about.
Yeah.
Really
some friends be hating, son. They don't want to see you win.
They don't.
want to see you win.
Like,
Those are not
you
friends.
can get your own robe.
No.
Yeah.
Like, get your own stuff. You're good. Yeah.
Right, but that's the friend that'll literally give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah. That's Jonathan. Everybody needs a Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's close this. So very few people want to spend their lives with no friends. Like everyone,
You'd be surprised.
yeah. I mean, but I think like everyone wants friendship. Everyone wants to have someone that they can rely on in their hard times, share their good times with, share laughter with. Most people want friendship.
Yeah.
And so like just to close in our, like from what we covered today, when we look for friendship, like friendship is not something that is forced. Just like Jonathan and David, their friendship came about because of their natural connection with each other. Friends love each other unselfishly. Friends have each other's back in good and bad times. Friends sharpen each other. So when one slips up, another friend, like the other friend, should tell the one that is messing up, like how they're messing up, and do that in a loving way, from a good place, coming from a good place. And friends propel each other to succeed. So all of those characters is what we should look for in our friendship, and remember to treat each other with compassion and with just have like a forgiving heart towards each other. All right, that's all.
Hey, this is
A Word at the Table.
Thank you for listening.